2 seconds. Hey, what's up, everybody? You are watching On the Town with Tanya, and I'm here with special guests today. But before I say anything, I would like for you to please share the video because, again, like we say, we never know when someone needs a great booster. So please share because I have a great guest here today. Two, not one, you get two. So make sure you share. All right. So today's guest, the therapy twins, are are identical twin sisters in the mental health profession. They are authors. The book is called Under the Hood, where they tell us all that if we want to have a smoother ride in life, we have to look under our own hoods, unpacking trauma and moving forward with compassion and forgiveness. Wow. Here to talk to us about mental health, their book, Healing. Please welcome Joan, Landino, and Jane Buckley. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks
Hi,
for having
Tanya.
us.
Yeah, so nice to see you and so nice to have you with us. We appreciate you taking the time. So
you,
just
Tanya.
jump right into it, I guess. Who's this? Someone's saying hi to us already. Wow. There you go.
Oh, wow.
What's up? How are you doing, Joe? So we'll jump right into it. How did you get into becoming therapists is the first thing I'd like to know.
Why don't the younger twins start? That's Joan.
That's the one talking.
Because I followed Jane. So if she said it, it'd be like, Joan, why'd you get into it? Because Jane did. So I was the younger twin and I followed into her footsteps. She was becoming a nurse. Then she became a nurse practitioner and we went into practice together. Because I really did want to be a comedian, but my anxiety got into the way. I couldn't do, I couldn't be in front of people. I eventually got medicated and yeah. So Jane, how did you get into it?
Right.
We were born in 1960 and we grew up in a probably a lower middle class family. And so in 1978, when we graduated high school, my thought process, I may have misinterpreted my parents. But back then I thought I was allowed to be a nurse, a teacher, or a secretary of some type.
Yeah.
And I chose nursing because I got capped a nurse's aide in high school. I took a class in high school as a nurse's aide. So, I had like a love-hate relationship with it. And,
So I really didn't think I was smart enough to even be a nurse. So Jane said I was smart enough.
Yes,
and
she was.
I said, no, Jane, I can't do it. And Jane went on my interview for me at Quinnipiac University. And it was Quinnipiac College back then.
Oh my gosh.
She nailed it. I got right in.
Let me see you both. Wait, let me get a close up to see you both to see if it's able to get that way. Oh yeah, wow. Yeah, someone can. I can tell the difference, but someone could easily. I could see why they wouldn't be able to.
We were also the same weight back then, and
same height
and the same height. But right now, I am a little heavier than Joan, and I think if I lost weight, we might look more alike. But anyway, it was funny because I did nail that interview for her, even though I wasn't like madly in love with the thought of being a nurse. Was I a nurse already back?
Of course,
I think I was a nurse already.
Oh, really?
And that's why I was so comfortable in the interview. I was already a nurse in it. And of course, if I messed up, it was not me. It was going to be Joan that didn't get in. So, so therefore, I nailed it. Is right.
Oh, wow.
And I went straight into psychiatry because the only two things I thought was interesting was psychiatry and surgery. Actually, I found surgery interesting. But anyway, I picked psych and I was very happy because it not only helped me, I enjoyed helping everybody. I really did.
Wow. And so wait, so did you also have a personal story to go with it? The reason why you got into specifically psych and therapy?
Oh, of course. Of course. Subconsciously, I don't think I realized. I knew there was something wrong with me. And it was a pivotal point. It was 5th grade. And I knew something was wrong. Because one of my parents said, and please, a lot of people, when I say this, they get all upset about what a parent says to a child.
Right.
But it was a lower to regular middle class family, and the dollar signs are everywhere, So
You have to think about that.
you got to think about those types of things. So one of my parents said, if you don't start smiling in your pictures, your school pictures, we're going to rethink buying them. And I think it was them wanting me to be happier. Back then, nobody used those words, depression. The only thing that was being treated in those days was a very, very small percentage of ADHD, and they had to have the hyperactivity or it was ignored. So
there wasn't an DSM-5.
I don't even know.
So I knew I was very depressed at some point in my life, and I gravitated towards psychiatry for my own help as well as helping others. Yes.
Okay. Now, did you ever find out why you were depressed?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
You want to know the funny thing is, it's not even that funny, is what I didn't realize, because when you're an identical twin, you grow up with so much comparison. And if one twin is funny, for example, the other one thinks, wow, I'm not funny at all.
Right. And if one twin is smart, the other one thinks, wow, I'm so incredibly stupid. How could I be a nurse? But of course, that's not true.
And again, if somebody said she's the pretty one, you feel super ugly.
Right.
And so Joan's trauma was so
magnificent.
It was so classic. Joan has suffered huge, classic, traumatic things.
Okay.
If you think she wasn't at war, but it's the other thing women go through. A sexual assault, a beating, and a mugging Joan went through.
Right.
In psychiatry, the funny thing is for me was when a patient was obsessed with one of us, it was always Joan.
And that's not good in psych.
Right?
Well, hold that thought because there's a reason why.
So that was interesting. So anyway, so the funny thing is I didn't realize I had PTSD, even though I had flashbacks.
Right.
Until a little bit later in life, because if that one had PTSD, I had to apparently have something different. According to the national, the public, according to the public.
Right. So, you think they wanted Joan more because, I know you've probably done addiction work before, right? You've done addiction work. So I have somebody tell me, well, if you weren't an addict, you can't really help me. And I'm like, that's not true. But sometimes patients think that because, and it does help, which is another question later.
Sure.
And it does help if you've been through the same trauma, because now you have something to gauge it off of, besides the DSM-4 or your diagnosis book or, your medical school, whatever, those things. But that may be why, because they're like, okay, I know that this person has been through the gully and back, and they really made it through. So now we want to know how they made it through. Maybe that's why,
a lot of patients that was inpatient as a nurse used to say to me that you can't help me because you don't suffer from addiction. And I said to the guy, if you had a heart attack, could I help you? Because I've never had a heart attack, but could I be your nurse? And he said, oh, wow, of course. So why do we separate that? We separate addiction and we separate psychiatry, because in psych, statistically, there's something incorrect, because no one is there's a few. I say no one when it's under 10. No one is coming out with their own issues. And of course, you don't want to do that while you're actively working. But so many times, if somebody had gone through something similar to me, there were things I knew about that maybe somebody who didn't go through that, maybe it's helpful. I think you need both. I think it would be great to have somebody say you're in addiction. I think it's great to have somebody who suffers from addiction, who knows where they're coming from, and maybe somebody who doesn't. Because there's going to be another way that somebody's going to say something, and it might put the light bulb on.
Exactly. And you never know. I tell you never know where you're going to get your gasoline from.
I think the other point to that is, whether I had the heart attack or I didn't, whether I had the addiction or I didn't. I think what Joan said is spot on, because when you have suffered a heart attack, you're going to experience a 24-hour period over many days of what goes on with your body when you have suffered a heart attack. There are things you cannot read in a book. And so when you have, why does AA work and NA, why? Because they're a group of peers and they're helping each other.
That's
that have all been through a similar experience.
Because after we graduated, we realized groups were the agent of change. They were the best treatment. And myself included, when I was actively anxious, depressed, and suicidal, I didn't want to be in a group either. Right, and I realized, though, it was a real block, though, with insurance companies. All of a sudden, everyone had to have the same diagnosis to be in the group. I don't even think that's as productive as having a couple of other people, maybe.
I'm gonna be the former patient that didn't like groups. I'll tell you why I wouldn't do group therapy is I was way too selfish. If I could be bold and blatant, I wanted that full 45 to 50 minutes with my therapist all about me. And if he or she, I've had a few, did share something about themselves, I was honored that they were very brief stories. You know, we all have heard of the therapist that might go on forever. But, right. So they did. It was kind of brief and it was wonderful. It was all about me.
Well, that makes, I mean, that's good to hear that perspective because most people will never be that honest. They'll never do that. They'll be like,
people used to say this. Right. They would go like this. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. It's like, you know, please don't. You have a choice. I mean, this is your hour. I'll still get paid if you lie to me. So actually, you know, in my opinion, I'll take both stories. It could be, I would say, go ahead with the truth. Because, you know, with PTSD, there was this little thing that a lot of people don't know. Right. And, you know, there's first line of treatment oftentimes when it's a severe PTSD, you have to go on an antipsychotic. And I never wanted to go on that. I was lucky enough at Columbia University that a former student came back and she had done her thesis because she was getting her PhD. She did her thesis on Vietnam veterans. And it was the first time. So I was in my, I don't know 30s, how old I was. I was 30s. And there was a symptom that I was experiencing, and I'm in the profession now. I will go and explain that one. I'm not going to say the symptom. I'll say it on the air now because I'm retired. Right. I was hearing my name being called out. Really? Now, I know that's a hallucination because I knew no one else was there. Right. She explained with her PhD research, she explained that Vietnam veterans were the first ones that came forward that heard their names being called out. That is so severe. That is so untreated that I actually feel sorry for my body that I went through that. Right. It is so, get your treatment early.
And it's not just auditory that Joan heard her name, because I had a couple of instances where I was young. Right. And I was screaming my head off, for example, one time with the covers over my head, screaming for our father, because I was positive there was a bat. Like I saw a bat flying in my bedroom.
Oh, we call that shadows.
And there was no bat.
So shadows.
There are people, they do see these shadows and things, and they think that, because when you go to a psychiatrist and you admit to something like that, the way you explain it might be, this person needs an antipsychotic versus the antidepressant. Yes. And like Joan said, the antipsychotic does work as well, but they're
very quickly.
They're tougher meds. You know, with some increased risks.
I'm so happy that you said that because I was just talking to someone the other day who has something similar, except they were, you know, they have other. And I was proud of them because they were like, I do not want to take meds. They want to give me like lithium. And I was like, no, I do not blame you because I would not want to take that either. Because I've seen people on lithium and it's
it's not for everyone.
Yeah, you're just like, you know, zombie mode. And that if you were really suicidal or really in a trauma jam, I'll call it. Okay, I can understand why you need that to start out with. I understand because they need to keep you where you're just able to think and then keep moving forward, right? I get that. But for people who have been in the long trail of trauma and they're able to be stabilized, at least not to be suicidal, I don't understand why we're not either, you know, trying to figure out, let's go to the problem. Let's go way back. Let's figure it all out, put it all on the table, get all the puzzle pieces and see where we need to put these compartments. And then we'll put, you know, this one back in their compartment, this one. I think that's possible. Even with schizophrenia, I think with all that, if it's done right with the multidisciplinary team,
absolutely.
I believe it's possible.
I do too. I do too. Now, can I just say something about lithium? Because when I was a young nurse, I didn't do a lot of medical nursing, only in my clinical rotations. Jane, I would have to ask her for medical advice. So as a young nurse, I actually thought lithium, because it was on the periodic chart, it is naturally occurring in animal muscle tissue or something like that. And I remember talking to a inpatient, and I said, I would try lithium before I knew something later, short term maybe, before I would try some of these synthetic ones, because lithium was naturally occurring in animal tissue. But Jane then told me that it really does affect your kidneys. So it's very, and one of our neighbors too, dear friend, also had a problem once it was too long. But the kid said in a group meeting, I don't love Yale University. I don't love Columbia. I'm just, I'm not promoting. I go to Yale University when I take lithium. When I'm off of lithium, I like all of you, but I'm here inpatient. Right. So, there is a choice in life. And if you can't find it naturally, sometimes we have to take synthetic stuff and pour lithium.
And
it's like, it
the
does
only
affect
other
us.
thing, and it's so sad, because when I became a prescriber, and I saw people on lithium, so many people do turn into zombies, and it's just not safe.
I'm not laughing at that.
It's difficult for some people to dose. Other people, you would think they took a baby aspirin and tarot coated and they don't feel a thing, and they do very well. But the thing about lithium is, prior to some of our newer antidepressants, it was the only anti-suicidal molecule that they had. And so. And a lot of people don't know this research. There was quite a bit of research that if you're already very depressed and suicidal, hold off on the lithium. You had to be more of a mania, bring you down, because lithium actually didn't have, that's why they had to really search for antidepressants, because lithium can make some people more depressed. I was on a medication that the psychiatrist said to me, Joan, please try to get through the 2 weeks that I'm going to tell you are going to be depressed. And I thought, what are you kidding me? I laughed through my whole life. I am never going to be depressed. Right. And he was right. And Jane reminded me, because I was crying a lot, and I said, I'm getting off this medicine. It was called Lamictal. It ended up being one of my favorite medicines, with a very, minimal side effects, as long as you don't get that deadly rash. But I was on it, and I was positive I wasn't going to get that rash, and I didn't.
Right. Okay. So
I liked it.
So, I mean, you did therapy for how many years? About
20-ish.
Wait, as a job or myself?
As a job.
Oh my God! Can you imagine if I said 20 years of my own personal?
That would have been Woody Allen.
I would say, you know what I would say? I would say, wow, that's good. You're really qualified to help somebody now.
Yeah.
I didn't do it for 20. What did I do it for? 15? 15? I don't know. 05 to
So
something.
15 to 20 years.
Yes. So here's the thing. The reason why I asked that question. And it's a great thing if you would have said 20 years you did therapy too, because I think, and as a former foster youth who helped foster youth, and as a former milieu counselor, I think I'm more effective if I've had therapy.
Yes,
absolutely. My stuff before I go tell you how to deal with your stuff.
Yes.
How does that work? You know what I'm saying? Like I see people in the field all the time who have had no therapy, and dropping their trauma all over.
I know. And it's interesting. You really don't have to share a lot about yourself, and you never share when you're, can you imagine the patient comes in and says, you say, how are you doing today? And they tell you how they're doing. And you say, oh, well, I had the worst weekend of my, you know what I mean? But you can share something with a patient if it's not about you at that moment. And I mean, you can even lie. I didn't, but you can share, and you would be amazed at how much less lying that the clients do, because human beings lie to protect themselves.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, one of my first therapists, I think it was visit number 3, pretty much advised me to cut my dad out of my life. You see, I have the last name Buckley.
Right.
That was my married name. And I kept it after the divorce. I'm Italian. We were raised by first generation Italians, families, everything, etc. There was no way. I mean, we were not the cutoff type of family. No. So it was like, I just thought that was a little too soon. So what I did, unfortunately, and I'm in the profession, but unfortunately, when I went to a different therapist, I was very guarded, which is really a terrible thing to do. I was guarded at what I would admit or say for fear that this therapist was going to say, you need to cut your dad out, or you need to limit your or you shouldn't do that, you know. And you're not supposed to tell people what to do, but you'd be surprised at how many therapists say things where it sounds like they're advising. And I think it's because we look at them as such superior beings at that moment.
Yes, they are like God, especially when you're in the height of trauma and you have no other.
Right.
I totally get that. But there are times, even as a counselor, that I've told people that they absolutely should never see someone again. And of course, you know what that is. A child has been sexually abused. Yes. Absolutely no reason under God, there's no reason that child should ever have to be in the company of that person that did that to them. That's just my personal thing. Some people say, no, we can have reunification with a little bit of therapy. No, that's never going to happen. Because as a child, as you know, because you both know about psych, you know, once you damage that part of the brain, especially under 10, under 5, all those ages, you're talking about serious trauma. There's never going to go away. It's only going to be, you know, dormant, but it's never going to go away.
No.
Go up in their lives.
So many people came, and there were so many different stories that, you know, this happened or that happened at a very young age. And that is when I would come out and say that I have suffered trauma, but as a child too, but not sexually. As an adult was my sexual trauma. And I say yours is so much more confusing, so much worse, because I knew what was happening. Right. You don't. Right. It's amazing. And, you know, I heard we were born in 1960. I don't know when this was on television, but there was a man and people were trying to arrest him, but maybe there weren't laws back then. And he said, it is my children. I can molest them. It's not as if there's going to be any aftermath from this. And he said that. And it's like, are you kidding? My entire profession was based on rape and other things. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, we have, if you think back, I mean, I always say women and children are not protected, and we're getting more protected there. But really, if you really think about it, before the 50s, come on. Right. You were allowed to do whatever you wanted to with your wife, your children, whatever you wanted. Right. It was Okie Dokie Boys Club. And it wasn't until someone finally started,
People thought that you couldn't be raped if you were married.
Exactly. And still
blows me away.
Yeah, some people still do. Some cultures still think that. I'm like,
right.
How do you not understand? No, I'm confused.
I know.
And so somebody just asked me how to reach you. www.therapytwins.com. There you go, Jesse. My friend.
But somebody also told me that, you know, and we use it in social media as well as, I remember this, she's such a cute client, and she said, Joan, your cell phone is all over the internet. I'm like, yeah, I put it there. That was my business phone. You know, when you had to downsize and you couldn't afford the landline as well. So that's they can contact us via text. We don't like to talk on the phone all the time.
Right. No, and nobody does my whole age. Yeah, no, I get you. I totally get it. But thank you. So that's good. Jillian, who's that? Jillian Gilchrist. Who's that?
Oh, the other way to get in touch with us. I'm sorry, we have an email. The twins.
Oh, you do? Go ahead.
Yeah, info@therapytwins.com. Period. Info@therapytwins.com. Yes.
Got it. Wait. We'll back it up. I got it, and I'll post it up.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen. There you go, Jess. There's the information. Who's Jillian Gilchrist? Jess, you'll have to tell me that later. Let's see. Let's see. Is there a Zoom? What do you mean? There's a Zoom now. I'd love to come in. Well, Jess, right now, I'm not sure because we didn't have a pre-plan on that one. Someone wanted to come in and talk. Is it a question that you have? That might be interesting.
If it's a question, that's fine.
The question, that's fine, Jess. If there's 1 or 2 questions, that's fine. But because we're on a time deadline here. But let me know in the chat if you mean for 1 or 2. That might be interesting. So let me see. If it's 1 or 2 questions, I can bring you in. I can give you the thing. Let me know. I'll wait and look. Anyway, thank you. So okay, so we talked a lot. Wow, trauma. So your book, Under the Hood. tell us about the book, because that's a great title. I mean, Under the Hood. I mean, really.
You
I
know,
know.
we didn't come up with that title. Our editor for the first book came up with that, and it's actually brilliant because it was, you know, a whole car metaphor inside the book anyway, and it's under our hoods. And we came out with our own mental illness because we were just so sick and tired of people looking, for me anyway, the therapists looked like they were so put together. I just wanted to shake them or mess up your hair or something. It's like I was talking to a robot.
I don't know if the public is aware that it is extremely frowned upon to come out with your own mental illness if you are if you are a therapist, or, you know, even I guess not a therapist and just a prescriber. And it's also frowned upon to share. Even some people wouldn't even share. Like I said, every once in a while, I might share something. I remember sharing quite a bit when my son was very young. Just as soon as the patient walked in the door, there's two things you need to know about me. One, I'm a single mom. And if the phone rings and it is the school, or, you know what I mean? I have to take that. And it's funny, I did start saying I was an identical twin because that got to be a problem.
Not
Be a problem, but a confusion.
Jane was a nurse practitioner in downtown New Haven, and I was still working inpatient, and there ended up being like
There was
violence.
There was crisscrossing.
Oh, they didn't believe me. They didn't believe that I wasn't Jane.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
It was really
interesting. Remember somebody thought one of us didn't say hello.
Yeah, they think so. Now I often say to people, if I meet them by myself, you know, I'm a twin, and if you see me and I don't say hello, I'm not being a bitch. It's just Jane doesn't know you,
right?
You know,
Right.
But anyway, there's a famous psychologist, Marsha Linehan. She created dialectical behavioral therapy.
Yes.
And she came out with her own mental illness, probably early 2000s or mid. And it didn't fly. You know, it was terrific. Some of her colleagues supported her. Some said, oh, I don't think you should do that. And it just didn't fly. So that was one of my motivations was, you know, if she could do it, I could do it.
And then I saw the Surgeon General, I think it's Vivek Murthy. And it was some type of live thing. And I was born with a brain tumor. It was operated on. I have something with names. I get a lot of names wrong. I believe it was Vivek Murthy. And he said that a distant family member suicided, and he was devastated. And what I believe he said that night was, and you can't seem to YouTube it, that until he said it's great that everyone's coming out with their own mental illness, actors, actresses, sports figures. He said until the professionals come out with theirs, this will never be solved. So we were thrilled. We were both really on board with doing it. I have been suicidal. I am so grateful that somebody reached me, because when you become suicidal, you turn into a black and white thinking. You have horse blinders.
It's like you're on autopilot.
And it's dangerous because oftentimes people don't want to die at that moment.
No.
It's like you're sleepwalking. Like you don't really have the control to make a decision to stop this a lot of the times.
Right. And that's,
it's scary.
I can imagine, very scary. I mean, I've only had the thought when I was young, very young, when I was first sexually abused, long time ago. But it didn't work. So I was like, I gave up. I was like, I guess God just wants me to be here. I was like, this ain't going to work. And then, I just realized like it wasn't meant to be. Plus, I had a younger brother that I always looked up to me. So I just felt like if I do that, then he's going to be let down. I can't do it, you know. So, but I understand that moment of nothing's great, nothing's going to work, blah, blah, blah. I totally get it. Even though I don't feel that way anymore, I totally get it. And I empathize with anybody who ever wants to commit suicide, because it's just, there's always somebody to help you. If you can here comes Jesse. This is Jesse that's coming on. And, and he's going to come on. He's actually does art therapy. I believe that's correct.
Figure out how to, I'm sorry. I figure out how to get
Hi, Jesse. How are you?
Good, but I got to figure out how to get my
your camera on?
Camera on. Sorry about that.
Let me see if I can help you. No. Wait a minute. Device is not connected. They will be added to connect their mic before you can add them. Add to stream. Okay, try that again. It says something about connecting your mic. But in the meantime, this is Jesse, and I believe Jess, art therapy you do for is it autistic children, I believe?
Autistic art therapy for really everybody.
Yeah, he's an amazing artist, by the way, amazing. But he had a question, so that's why I brought him in. It's a surprise, but I thought, you know what, let's shake it up a bit.
Yes, let's
You
shake
look
it
like
up.
you like to shake it up a bit. So let's shake it up. Why not? Go ahead, Jess. You can ask the question, Jess, until you
Well, no, I just found these ladies fascinating. Joan and Jane. This is amazing with the therapy twins. I love it. I love it.
Hi there.
Thank
Oh,
you.
nice to meet you guys. I love it.
Nice
Nice
to meet you.
Yeah, I know. I wish we could see Jess.
You know,
wish I could get my
you're one of
camera.
the people that helps around. You know, in psychiatry, when the business model had come in, they cut out everything, art therapy and what other kind of
I
therapy?
can't even think of it.
Not
Occupational. Yes. No, we used to teach the patients how to get on the bus, how to apply for a job. It was not uncommon in the 80s, in my first job as a psychiatric RN. You would go out in downtown New Haven with a inpatient person and you would take them out to like York Square Pizza and you know, so that they relearn to integrate into society. And as soon as around 87 the business model came in and took over, occupational therapy was the first to go. The very first. It was so helpful.
I remember that. I remember those days. I remember those days.
Yeah.
They did cut
and that's the second portion that is to
and it's
lend toward healing.
Yes.
You know, art therapy, music therapy. The psychologist used to go in the vehicle with the person and that was having panic episodes on the Q Bridge or whatever. And we would go with people and help them once they got off that boat of therapy to reintegrate into society. And people wonder, we have such a mental health crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't have enough mental health workers, etc. But we also cut the help. We cut the treatment out of mental health because what happened we are a pill nation now.
Yes, because in the 80s we recognized that let's not be so afraid of psychiatry. The violence among psychiatry is approximately the same among the general public. And if a schizophrenic, sure, if they're a paranoid schizophrenic, maybe they are more violent. But this is 100% of the time at Yale Psychiatric Institute in the 80s. When a patient was going off, it was us that scared them. It was us. We got too close. We did. You had to be so mindful because remember, everyone is suffering from trauma. So let's not pretend that these people are so far gone. Oh my God, they're so scary. No, they were somebody who suffered from trauma. We are not recognizing that.
Yes, and trauma
separating them.
Yes, and trauma, as Dr. Betsy Gabor, who I love, he's like my favorite.
Yes, I can't say that name.
Oh my goodness, I love him.
I love him because he just so nonchalantly like, yes, you know, trauma sits. I mean, we all know that trauma sits in your very skin, your bones. When you get the help and the therapy you need, it just oozes out of many different facets, you know, whether it's your mouth, whether it's you're doing drugs or drinking, overeating or oversexing, whatever, it comes out. Mental illness, it comes out.
Over-education. Over-education can also be over-exercise, you said.
Everything, all of the above. But you you work also in art therapy. I said that correct? It's been a while, bud. It's been a while. Art therapy, correct? With young children?
Sorry, my dog was trying to get attention.
Pet therapy was also cut.
We love pet therapy. That's the best.
I want to get this guy. I think this guy could actually pass the test. I want to get him actually therapeutic tested for being
he's cute. Let me see him. Now I want to see what he looks
All
like. Right. sorry.
I want to see him too.
Yeah. There you
go.
Oh, he's so cute. Oh my goodness.
He could be a therapy dog. I really
be a therapy dog. I just looked at him and I feel better already.
The past few years, we had therapy cats.
Look at him. Look how he's laying on.
Oh, he's what a
Okay, so we have a pet therapy right now, everybody, in case you're watching, with Jesse and his dog. What's his name?
Ted.
Oh, so cute. Oh gosh. Joan, aren't they cute, Jane? Aren't they? Isn't he
They
cute?
are
Very
beautiful.
cute.
So that's another form of therapy that I love is animal therapy because
Can I like to stir the pot. So here's what I'd like to say. No, I really do want to. Is because
Okay.
I remember two psych nurse jobs I had where they cut pet therapy.
Yes.
All right.
yes,
And this is what I'd like to say. And I'm grateful for a cancer center in New Haven called Smilo. I am grateful that they didn't cut pet therapy.
No, they didn't.
Because our father, who did not die from cancer, I was so happy he got admitted to the cancer center one time because he wasn't able to go to the main hospital. And I was in shock of the amount of extra attention and care he got. And I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Right.
But why did we take that from another whole set of patients? Why did we take pet therapy from psychiatric patients when we all know when somebody's anxious or can't speak or speaking too much, you
Right.
throw a dog in the mix
Right.
or a cat.
Yes. It'll
We
change
know
that.
these things help.
Yes, absolutely. I've seen it firsthand. Even my dog. I've had him 8 years, and one of my friend's kids is autistic, and this is the first time that he met her. All I said to him, he's never been trained. All I said, she was scared of dogs, and I said to him, I said she's scared of dogs, and you know what he did? He sat down in like a stance to let her pet him so she can get comfortable. And he stayed there until she came and did this, and then he was like, "I'm friendly," That's the innate what do you call that? The spirit of the dog. They know. They can immediately know that this little baby's a baby is something. They don't know the word baby, but they know it's something that they must back down from and not be aggressive.
Yes.
Right. And you do too. Look at you. Oh, what a beauty. Oh my gosh. I'm missing my dog. Jess. Thanks a lot, Jess. You're just making me have serious problems right now. So this is amazing. I'm so happy that you guys are with us. And Jess, I'm glad you popped on. You don't have anything you want to contribute to this? Because I know you were working with, I believe, autistic children. Is that correct? Or what community you work with?
Who, me? Yeah, mainly autistic. But, I mean, we became friends because of Kevin.
Yes, I know.
And R.I.P. to Kev.
R.I.P. to our friend Kevin Brown. We love you, and this show is actually dedicated to you today. Yeah. Our friend Kevin, we lost a few months back, December-ish, right? November, December. It's been a few. Well, to me, it's been a few months, but we lost this the end of last year. So this would have been a great show. He would have loved it. So thank you for coming on. I appreciate you.
Of course, but we're already at different times, and it's amazing to think. I never would have thunk it, but you know what? You carry on, and yes, pets, horses, therapy does wonders. My friend,
sorry, that was this. Sorry, that's your ADHD kicking in too.
I got ADHD up the
Like, look at this screen.
I'm sure we have it too.
I know we have it.
Yeah, no, yes. But so the therapy twins is my main focus. I got to get everything I can out of you girls while I can, because I'm lucky to have you on today. I'm so blessed. Jess, where'd you go? You left?
I don't know. I think
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Okay, because I have to take you off the screen for a minute so I can finish the interview. Is that okay?
What?
Jess, is that okay?
Yeah, no worries. I'm glad to say hello. Thank you so much, Tanya,
Thank you so much.
and Joan and Jane. You're so lovely. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And just
You're welcome
keep
to come on.
doing the good work you're doing.
Yes, please
even
do.
in recovery, having a cat, they say, helps in recovery. And
Yes.
I had a client, oh my goodness, she was so funny. She said they forgot to tell me it should have been a female cat because she had a male cat that could care less about her.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, but we had two male cats, but ours were orange and one had only one eye. And oh my God, the clients loved them and they knew which ones to go to and which ones to like lay down near. It was cute.
Knew.
That is so funny.
Well, the best part was to see the clients that only wanted to see the cats.
yeah, they didn't even want to
They
come
were
in
like,
the office.
yeah, you help. Yeah, you help. But let me just spend some time here with the cats.
Right. Well, It's all good. I love animals and for therapy. And the horse, Gina, I know what you're talking about. What's it called?
Equine.
Yes, equine therapy.
The horse thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Yes,
used to
yes,
do that at one of the rehabs I worked at.
Oh yeah,
really
You
good.
could see the most patient coming like, ah!
Yes.
Right.
As soon as they start that, like, oh, my horse. It's like, what happened?
Yes.
What happened to all the anger? What happened? It's like calms them
Right.
down. And the best thing, horses are very good at detecting spirits and energy.
Oh
So,
really?
Wow.
Yes, these horses, when they were having attitude, or they felt like the group was not in sync or something,
Yeah.
they start kicking and biting.
Ooh.
Yeah, they would do like just little, not nothing
Really?
but oh no, they have some kind of instinct that just, it was so on point. I was like, you guys are off today. You wonder if that's why the horse bit you, or it's because you had some food in your breast. I mean, which one? You know, and they'd be laughing, saying, "Oh, Miss Cooper,"
Yeah.
and I'd be like, "This horse knows because the group was off that day." You
Yes.
know? I don't know how they knew, but they knew. And when
Well, I think all animals have those extra senses. Joan has a really great story about one of our cat. Well,
You do?
her cat Emma. Every once in a while we had a cat that was just mine or just hers. And when Joan had a
Yeah,
cancer
I
scare.
actually, when I had a cancer scare, Emma was on my chest, and I thought, wow, the cat loves me now. Because
Right.
even though she was a she cat, she
Right.
she didn't like my lap unless, I can't even say it. Well, I had to be going to the bathroom. So, she just wasn't the greatest lap cat because I couldn't sit on the toilet for the whole day. But anyway, she laid on my chest. So they say that they know about cancer.
right,
She must
they
have
do.
smelled it or something.
They do. They know
Yeah.
a lot about a lot of stuff.
Oh, and remember, they know about death because
Yes.
when we were growing up, one of the reasons I chose nursing
Mhm.
was I heard all these wonderful cat stories about cats in the nursing homes, and they
Yes.
always knew which patient was going to be taking their last breath. And there
Wow.
were so many stories, but when that business model came in, or was it the
That
health
great
department?
Yeah, that health department.
It was something that took the animal out of the nursing home, and you know how lonely
Whereas
nursing
dogs'
homes
mouths are supposed to be the cleanest ever. I mean, just let the cat. Those cats, we had so many problems because the health department kept saying they're they wouldn't get off our back. So we took them home.
We tried.
Yeah, well, 'cause cats carry a different, depending on cleaning litter and all that stuff. But they're good. There's a good plus and a negative sometimes.
Yeah.
It depends. Dogs a little bit can get away with just a little
Yes.
bit more than cats, because that's another entity. But I do believe animals have an instinct. I mean,
Yes.
if I could tell you, my dog saved me from 2 fires, and like, how would he know?
Mhm.
Neighbor died. My dog, right as she was dying, I kept saying, I wonder why she's going to answer the phone. He was laying down on the very spot that she was under, and she was down for me, and he was going, he was acting really weird. I said, what is wrong with you? And next thing I know, I said, now that's weird. They're not answering the phone because I want to make sure she was all right. And sure enough, the EMT comes, and I was like, what's going on? Oh, I got to take my mom to the hospital. And I was like, oh, but my dog was barking, and then it got quiet. So I was like, this is weird. The dog went to the landing in the top, the second floor, went to the landing.
Yeah.
At the gate where you could see over the ledge to see where they're coming from, the ambulance coming from, and waited for the ambulance to roll her out.
Wow.
She had passed. He was sitting up like a soldier saluted, sitting like this as she went out, and he would not move. So I was like, did my dog just tell me something beforehand? It happened
Wow. Animals are so amazing.
They are the best form of therapy. I
Yes.
have like a baby since I got a dog.
Yes, we humans try.
Yeah, we try.
Because think about it. If you were suicidal, you still have to get up. You got to feed the dog.
Yes.
You got to walk them. Yes, you have
Yes.
to. A lot
Yes.
of times people won't even do that, though. They won't even get a plant. That's too much to take care of.
Yeah.
I would suggest the plant, like an air plant. Definitely the air plant.
Air plant. No, a cactus, because you don't have to water it. Cactus is
What's
probably
an
the
air plant?
You know, it gives good air. You know,
Oh,
it breathes in.
I get it.
carbon
Like a
dioxide.
spider plant. Although
Right, right.
spider plants are hard to kill, but I remember before I
But
had
we
my
can kill them.
I was good
Well,
at that.
I love
Our
that.
book is ADHD friendly. I just have to
Yes.
tell people
I was
when
gonna ask you about that.
we read it,
Mhm.
we edited it again. And when we were reading it, if our brains couldn't get through the paragraph, we had to edit it because we knew there were too many people like us that why I'm not Faulkner, you know, like, well, Jane will always say I'm no Faulkner.
Don't even ask me who Faulkner is. It's a joke with her ex.
It's a writer.
He's an oldie.
He wrote I forgot
Faulkner wrote the longest grammatically correct sentences, I believe, or paragraphs, something like that.
Those ones that go on and on.
I can't.
And when you go into science, they want you to take 90% of that out because you want to know, well, where are the facts, ma'am?
That's it.
You just want that.
Right. Wow. So tell us, under the hood, when you was writing it, did any issues come up while writing it that may have triggered you? Or
yes, my ego.
But besides the ego, this is the truth. This is what helped me. It was finally like, well, I was very angry, but I thought, are you kidding me? You know, I'm wasting my whole life on this. My ex-husband shoved a magazine, a science magazine, under my door because he was our third partner. It was the three of us, and I read the article, and it was every time, and I knew this. I also have a forensic science degree. I was a death investigator. I understand you separate all witnesses because as human beings, we are terrible witnesses. We like to write our own book.
That's right.
That is my manuscript. That is my witnessing. That is my publishing. So anyway,
my bad guy was dressed differently than your bad guy.
Right.
So anyway, he sent me this. He gave me this article, and it pretty much said every time you remember.
Right.
You're remembering it differently. So why are we arguing? No, it happened this way. No, it happened that way. That's for the courtroom, not for the kitchen table or, hanging out with your friends.
Right.
Just, you know who said it the best? Tim Roth in a movie. The guy says it, how it happened, and his friend, Tim Roth playing the friend, and he said something like this. If that's how you remember it, or something like that. And it really is. If that's how you remember it, because in psychiatry, if you come and tell me that your mother was physically abusing you, and later we found out that she wasn't, and the young girl wasn't lying, it was that's how she thought it was happening.
Right.
You still treat them the same way. You're not going to say, I don't know if she really did that, and let's see if you're over exaggerating or whatever. So you still treat people as if they're telling you the truth.
So you do still treat people really in a case like, because we've heard cases where people lie, they blatantly lie.
I mean, I wasn't treating the girl. I was lucky to be treating the mother. But, the girl had us both convinced that the mother really was doing this and didn't remember. Because, again, here's a PTSD symptom. A lot of people don't know it.
Right.
Blackout anger. There are blackout periods.
Ooh. Wow.
You get to a point with untreated PTSD and you will not remember. I didn't even know my nephew was in a car that I was going to throw myself out of, which was moving on a highway. Wow. And I yelled at everybody.
Not for anything Adam said, though.
And I told my sisters they were wrong. And when Adam said, Joni, they're correct. And I said, how the fuck would you know?
Right.
And he said, because I was there. Then I knew I needed help. I knew. At that point, I had to get help.
Wow. So you knew then that's it. Because I was going to ask if someone's at home experiencing something, how do they know when, it's time to really get help? Is that a good example of,
I'll tell you, when everyone in your family.
You might not want to wait that long.
Ever wait as long as me.
Right. Because that's the blessing that you made it this far. Yeah.
No, I would say that when people start leaving you, like,
no, that's too late. That's too late.
Oh, that you'll know though. When people don't want to hang out with you anymore, just go get some help.
Right.
Sometimes it's as simply as if you're not content or happy with your life, because one of the healthiest people live very simple lives and are super content and super grateful and they care about others, they do service, etc. And then there's the rest of us. And so if you're not, I was not content with my life for a very, very long time. And unfortunately, I waited until I had a child. And I think I waited until my son was 4 years old. It's never too late.
35 years old is when I went for help.
I just kind of wish I had gone earlier.
That's about when I really went. I've been help since I was 7, because as a foster kid, you have to go no matter what. So I was in care all my life. So I had to go, but I wasn't really there.
Right.
And then I learned, duh, you got to be a participant to get the help you need. Duh.
Right.
And so I did that, and that's why I minored in psychology, because I need to understand all of it.
Yeah.
Wow. So
And all we need is validation. You don't have to go on and on and on and on and on and
Right.
on about every detail, because you may not remember. And sometimes it's detrimental when people are asking too many details, because a lot of times in trauma, you dissociate, and to survive, you end up, you're not there anymore. And the police will keep asking, it's like, oh my God, how about if I make up a lie just for you? That would be great.
Right.
So I don't even know where I was going with this.
Well, there was a period of time where there was a period of time in my career where there were before I was a staff nurse, and there were therapists and they're trained to ask probably those too many questions. But once psychiatry learned that you back off, I mean, there's wonderful therapists out there that won't pressure for all of that type of thing. And, psychiatry started mostly because the rest of Western medicine didn't want to deal with certain types of patients.
Yeah, Jane told me a judge put addiction.
One of my former mentors told me that alcoholism was not in psychiatry. In fact, it was primary care.
No,
they didn't want unfortunately, I think you need everyone. I think it's a multidisciplinary team you would need for that. But it was a judge who said about, one of those diehard alcoholics, no one's going to miss that person who is walking around town. Right. And the judge said, this man does not need jail. He needs medical treatment. And that's when they went in, to medicine and then psychiatry.
Yes. And thank God for Bill and his wife who helped.
Oh, Bill and yes. I don't even know her name. What's her name?
I forgot her name.
Oh my goodness.
And even his last name, I just got a serious ADHD kick in. And I was like, wait a minute. And I'm like, Withers? Where'd I get Withers from? I have no idea. So that's wrong. Shame on me. But I know they help with addiction. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be, I don't think we'd be as far as we've gotten.
We have a long way to go, but I agree.
Long way to go with addiction.
We do. But it's people like you guys that I think shake it up and make people think. And because, we, watch all these TV programs, we listen to everything everybody tells us to do. But at the end of the day, you have to stop. And that's why I like doing this show, because I like to have unconventional people that think out the box, because not everybody's in the box. And if you get in the box, that's going to be a nice.
We come from a long line of rebels, and we usually, what we do is we don't back down sometimes, and we both have gotten in trouble.
Who cares?
Right.
That's right.
And I just wish that one of the things I fought City Hall, and I failed, but what I wish is that medicine, including psychiatry, would start opening their eyes to other disciplines, and I'm not even talking medicine, I'm talking anthropology, people that study, archaeologists. Let's study humans.
Yes.
Why are we so closed off? Because we currently treat patients who suffer from addiction more like our horrible prison system than we do a nurturing environment. And that upsets us greatly.
Don't let culture and tradition hold you hostage, and including as treaters, or whatever you want to call us, providers. I'm so grateful to be retired, because some of the stuff isn't working.
No.
Why don't we glance over at Portugal or glance over at harm reduction? I don't know why we keep getting in trouble, because we were trying to practice harm reduction as a forensic science person. I had to go to a scene in downtown Hartford, and this is just all over in medicine. This is a quote. I didn't come up with it, but in all aspects, a brilliant guy who works in addiction, a doctor who works in addiction, Dr. Doug Bruce, came up with this. He probably doesn't even know. I heard him speak. He probably doesn't even know I was sitting there.
Yeah, he doesn't know he has fans out there.
He said in every aspect of medicine, when someone becomes symptomatic, we offer them more care. Think of a diabetic. When you become symptomatic, we offer you care, except for addiction. When you're symptomatic, because you used,
Right.
you're symptomatic. What do? We offer you less care. So in downtown Hartford, I went to a scene. The woman was in a wheelchair. She used, happened to have been a horrible snowstorm. We had dipping temperatures. Nobody knew it was going to be this cold. And she was kicked out because she used, and she died with her sweatshirt over her head outside of the facility, froze to death.
Joan, location?
It was the facility.
Outside, but
Outside the
when
facility near a dumpster.
Joan told me the story.
She tried to block the wind.
A dumpster.
Wow.
And that is where we put a human being who you discharge them from programs because their urines are, and we call them dirty urines and clean urines. Like, come on.
Right. Yeah, and that's so. You just talked about something, hit on something. A friend of mine, congratulations, Dawn. She just got her master's in social work, and she works with addiction. So I'm really excited because she's like us. And one of the things I used to hate is when they let a patient go with nothing and nowhere to go.
Right.
I'm like, wait. Let me get this right. They have a dual diagnosis.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's an issue in itself, because now you're talking, do they have the proper meds? Do they have the proper therapy? Do they have a support system? Do they have an AA and all those things that go with discharging? And I've seen patients literally discharge with like, we have nowhere for you to go. Well, go back to their neighborhood, they're going to be using again, duh.
Yes.
So why does the insurance have something set up that we didn't find this person a place to stay? We cannot bring them back to their neighborhood, because not only would they could be killed because of all the past stuff they did, but there's other things going on. You have to consider those things.
Right.
A mother and her children, you have to consider those things. My mother died from her addiction at 42 years old. And I believe if there had been modalities.
Right. Oh, of course. I
think she might have actually made it through. And it's okay, because that's where she was, it was meant to be. But for some future woman that's sitting out there with 4 beautiful babies that really just needs help, just a little help.
Yes.
Just get me.
And when we first started, in these professions, patients were not being discharged to the outdoors without the follow-up
in the early
80s. And, every once in a while you get these, it's not like we're doing it 100% nowadays either, but there's still something very wrong with a system that will discharge someone that doesn't have the plant, a home, or we're discharging them. This is not my quote either.
Right.
We're discharging our beautiful cousin said this. We're discharging the patient back to the problem.
That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
You're welcome. And why are we doing this?
That's what
money. It's all follow
that's
the
right.
dollar.
Follow the dollar.
Exactly. It's all about, sorry, Big Pharma. I know I keep giving you a name, giving you a plug, but it's all about the dollar. And that's all it's about. I had a guy tell me once, a fellow comedian, and he did his whole set, which was hilarious, but not really hilarious, because you're like, oh gosh, we need to keep our eye on him. He did his whole act about how he pays $800 a month for his medicine. But unfortunately, and this right when the pandemic started to happen, unfortunately, they were like, oh, sorry, you don't have enough money, can't see you. And he's in the middle of a suicide trauma. I was like, wait, what?
Right.
Wait, so you're not going to let me we'll give you meds for the next 2 months, but you got to find something. It was just like, bye. So he was like, so I'm basically here because if I don't do comedy, I might not make it tomorrow. I mean, this was in his set. What do you do? Well, how do you, facilities, how do you let people go? I don't care about money. We don't care about money. How do you just let someone go that is in such pain that could possibly kill themselves, or better yet, kill someone else?
You know what I think a lot of people don't know, and myself included? I was unaware that hospitals, prisons were for profit. I thought they were non-profit. And once again,
a lot of hospitals say they are.
Right.
They say they are.
So here's something I witnessed, and of course, I would never say, I will never reveal where I was, when I was. I had a lot of different jobs, so if you Googled me, you wouldn't know. I heard a hospital that was in financial trouble. I was in the back office. and there was a director of some type telling the attending physician, if you can, these people here, we want them out on Friday, because on the weekend, something happens about a weekend. There may be less money being made. I'm so bad with a dollar. I don't even know. But they were basically saying, discharge these people because the hospital will not make money, or the hospital will lose money. I don't know if anyone heard, during COVID, do you know how many hospitals lost money because of elective surgery? They didn't have it.
Yeah, they had to cancel all the elective surgery.
I mean, we don't, on the one hand, we don't want hospitals closing and we want staff. But on the other hand, we've gotten to a point since that business model, and Joan and I are 2 old ladies now, and we saw good care, and it's going downhill.
Who would have said, gee, when I get bronchitis, or if I got a diagnosis of cancer, you know who I want next to me? I don't even know a businessman right now that I respect. So I'll just say Elon Musk. Maybe he has a good bedside manner, or whoever, who was really nice as a business person. No one would say a bad word about him. Ross Perot. I voted for him. For something. I voted for something for him because I wanted him for president.
Yeah, I liked him too.
Because he was a nice guy.
I liked him too. But Jess wanted to come one more time. We have to wrap up because we're past our time.
Sure.
He had something else to say, so I told him, come on in.
Of course.
And then we'll wrap up.
Yes.
Hey, Jess. So what do you want to say, Jess? Sorry.
No, I love Joan and Jane. I love you guys. Thank you so much, Tanya.
Thank you.
You're a force to be reckoned with. You're a pioneer coming out. Thank you so much.
I love what you do with the kids. That's big. So, and your work, guys. If I could tell you about an artist, look Jesse up. I don't know how you will. You better put something in that chat down there, Jess.
Yes, Jess.
He's really amazing artist. When I tell you amazing,
we would like to look at that.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much, Tanya.
It's a form of therapy looking at his work. That's what I mean.
Beautiful.
Oh, wonderful.
That's how good his work is. Yeah. Sorry, I just found a mosquito here. Thank you. Over in England, they don't use screens on their windows. So that's not going to be good. What was I going to say? Thank you, Jess. You can hang out for a minute with us. We're going to end anyway. But ladies, so to end everything, let's see.
Yes.
What you answered my last question, what some of the challenges we face, but going forward, wait, I forgot to ask you, what about the comedy? You don't do comedy anymore? You might.
No, absolutely. I want to just say that if you were my patient or my client, you already know it. Most of the time in my office, it was a comedy act because comedy did help people. Right. They loved laughing, and so did I. And it wasn't as if they didn't cry every so often because they got through something. Right. It's a lot easier to get through trauma at the right time. Of course, not when it first happens. Right. With some comedy, it heals you. You cannot be depressed or in physical or emotional pain at the same time as when you're laughing.
Right.
Yes.
Now that, because I didn't plan for retirement and I retired a little on the early side, and then now I have to live with my identical twin sister. She's the comedian. I am the straight man. The straight man. I'm the other Smothers brother.
The side
Dick.
She's a dick.
I'm Dick Smothers. But anyway, what I want to say is, because I would have disagreed with her, because I remember hearing all the laughter coming out of her office, and I had patients like myself that wanted that to be quiet so we could really talk ad nauseum. But you know what I mean? I talked so much in my 3 or so years of therapy that I am so honored to live with this natural born comedian over here, because she got me out of something one time that was so fun. It was just nothing. And it was just so funny. And I have to say, laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah,
it really is.
Absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. And that's a note we're going to end on. So people know where to go find your book on Amazon.
Yes.
Under the Hood, guys, if you want to.
Under the Hood.
Therapy Twins.
Yeah, Therapy Twins. It will really be beneficial to you because they have a lot of different unusual modalities.
And the book itself is comedy as well.
And the book itself has some helpful hints on what started us to get on our path to recovery. So there's some helpful hints.
Right. So that's yeah. It's. I didn't get to read it all.
I'm going to share one before, so you don't all have to end. You don't have to buy the book. Gratefulness, please, just do it. Be grateful. I wasn't.
That's one of them. Grateful. I like
One
that.
of them is
It's easier than that. I make it funny.
What
If
about-
somebody just said, "Oh, be grateful," okay,
Right.
I will.
What about the forgiveness part? That part.
You have to.
you have
You have to. If you
Everybody
can't
says that,
forgive,
but I get like,
if you can't forgive, you're not going to get better yourself.
But you know how
It's so
nobody,
sad.
we don't often know how to forgive, and sometimes we think we forgave, but then something happens, and you've gone from 0 to 60, and you thought, wow, I thought I dealt with that.
Right.
You know what it is? It's unfortunately it's practice every single day. I eat at least twice a day. I wash a couple of times a day. You are supposed to, if you were mostly a depressed person or mostly an anxious person viewing life this particular way, if you don't practice changing your perception on something, and you start with something like, here it is. Unfortunately, the glass it's not 100%, but at the same time, this glass is almost half full as it is almost half empty, right?
Yes.
Right.
Pick one. And
Pick one.
pick
And
the
if you
full.
could pick the happier one, practice doing it. It makes a lot of difference. It will speed your recovery.
right.
And
Yeah.
you say this, the door to my heart opens inward. Just say that, the door to my heart opens inward. And that is how Jane tricked me. That means I have forgiven everyone for, don't get mad at this, for all perceived wrongs.
Yeah.
Some were perceived correctly, but all perceived wrongs, including myself for not being perfect. The door to my heart opens inward. It's the easiest way to forgive yourself and everyone else.
I wonder if that's what Eli Weiss thought, because you read his book Night. That's kind of, I mean, he's a Holocaust survivor, and he has this same, what's the word? He has the same thought process, like you just forgive and you have to move forward and be happy. And I have it too in some elements of my being abandoned foster child, like whatever you want to call me. But there's people who say, I don't have that in me to do all that. So how do you start? The first one is gratitude, I guess.
I think gratitude. I'm thinking laughter more and more, because I found that I was the depressed person and I always gravitated towards the negative.
Okay.
And, the quickest thing was my father we got spanked, hit, whatever you want to call it. It was appropriate. DCF would not be called in the 60s if you spanked your kid on the butt, right?
Right.
So I used to get spanked, or my father would try, if I spilled milk. And I just was a young kid wanting to learn how to pour from a gallon, and I often would drop the whole gallon. And my dad would chase me around the kitchen table. So not only did I learn some critical thinking skills, because at one point it was the funniest thing, because my father really wasn't that violent. He's chasing me, I'm pulling the chairs out and blocking him. But it was through therapy that I learned that he was just struggling financially.
Okay.
He
It's like wasting milk.
Yeah.
All he saw were dollar signs. And I'm not saying it's okay to spank your kid because they had an accident. But what I'm saying is, if you can change your perception on like the resilience, often Joan should talk about this. Someone who's been sexually assaulted, if they don't focus on some of the resilience,
how you survived,
how they can help another human, what this experience taught me, even if it was safety.
Here, and I did this with clients. It's a trauma can be a gift. And I know this sounds lame, but it can be a gift, because in an unforgiving society, you as a trauma victim can recognize the hurt in another person, and you can help that person, and maybe they won't kill themselves. You now have the ability to see that hurt. So help. Okay, thank you.
You and I are on the same page. That's how I found you guys. My spirit said, these ladies right here, they are on it.
Thank you.
And it's sad the therapy profession is at a major loss without you two.
Thank you.
And I like the part, the part about mental illness. There's so many people running around here right now, especially after the pandemic, where it's heightened. They might have already had it.
Right.
Pandemic now made it like, woohoo, time to come out. And they can deal with it, but they don't think they can. And so they just take the lithium, take the whatever the doctor's giving it. I've seen them give medicines, three different medicines that I know are individually deadly if you take too much. And I'm like, how
Yes.
is prescribing this? I don't get that. And when do they expect you to get better? Because they're not even requiring you to go to therapy. So you can't just give lithium and say, yeah, just
Right.
go ahead and take and go out in the street. Because that's when you get somebody like I did, or, I was attacked in New York City 30,000 years ago, and left for dead in a coma, the whole nine. But that's where you get random people like walk by. I had a guy one time who was literally going through mental psychosis. I saw it. This is before I knew anything about therapy.
Yes.
Wait, in Harlem, I think it was like 3:00 in the morning, something crazy. I came back from a club. And the guy walks by with his coat. You could tell he was homeless. And he looks at me dead in the eyes, locks there. And he goes, I'm going to gut you like a fish. But I won't say the words he told me, really. The F words and you name that book. But he really looked like he knew me. He was looking at me like, there you are. I'm going to get you. And I was like, oh, my God. If it wasn't for some guy saving my life, I won't say his name in there.
Yes.
But some guy, his uncle happens to be a famous jazz player, but that's another story. But he just randomly saw what was happening and saved my life. But the guy was having psychosis. So how am I going to get mad and say, oh my God, I can't believe this guy. He was having, I saw him go from this to this in like 5 seconds. And he really thought something about me triggered in his eye, in his peripheral, something about me triggered, like, that's her. I'm going to get him. And he was ready to cut me up. Like, if he had pulled out a big knife, I was got him dead. This guy saved me and said, hey, honey, he grabbed me. He said, honey, pretend like you're my husband. Honey, I told you not to sit in this car. Come on, let's go. If he wouldn't have done it, the guy snapped out of his psychosis, was like, maybe that's not her. That saved my life.
And see, this is where I go to a higher power, because that's another thing. Joan would not let me put it in the book too much.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
I think that the patients that I had that got better the quickest and left me to live their lives were the most spiritual people. Some of them very, very religious, and it was their God that helped them get through it.
Right. Well, Jesse, where you at? He just mentioned something about, he said therapy. Did you know therapy and psychology is all Nazi propaganda? Did you ever hear that in therapy school?
I haven't heard that, but I have heard that psychiatry, the treatment, basically it's a cognitive behavioral therapy. I've never read the Bible, the Christian Bible, but I had some patients that were very Christian, and one of them explained how cognitive behavioral therapy is actually in the Bible. So I don't know why I wasn't taught so many of these things in kindergarten and first grade. Why do we have to have a profession for when we start growing up and failing? Why can't we be taught some of this?
Yes. I don't know.
Mindfulness.
It's so sad.
Mindful.
Yeah, it's so sad. But my faith in God is stronger than anything. And even if you believe in God, the universe, some people take it as a universe. I know something in somewhere is better than me.
Yes.
That's what really keeps me grounded personally. So I had patients like, I'm not religious. I don't believe in religion. I'm anti whatever Christ. I just can't. It's just not going to help me. And that's a thing, because people have been molested by priests. So that's a thing.
Of course.
That's a thing. And it's okay. I validate you. No problem. I got you. But you still have to understand the concept that there is something, some entity that is way greater than you ever could be. And that is the entity that allows you not to go insane, not to commit suicide, not to, keep doing drugs and just wasting your precious life that was meant to be
learning how to love yourself again. My God helped me with that.
Yes. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know what that was very young, but very young, I understood that. Whoa, wait a minute. I'm still here. I got kids. I have a neighbor who I still wonder about to this day. Whatever happened to them? Their mom was on drugs, but their mom seemed like she was selling them. So what happened to them? I don't know. But I know I turned out okay. I'm not where I want to be. I'm not where in my head, I thought I'd be. But guess what? I turned out to be a pretty darn good person, considering my background. I think I did okay, but that's because I knew something was better than me. That's why.
Yes.
I didn't know what that was. But if you don't, I tell patients, if you don't think that there's nothing better, or not better, excuse me, maybe that's the wrong word. Sorry, wrong choice. If you don't think there's something greater, okay, then you have no gauge.
Point of reference.
Yeah, no gauge. Point of reference. Thank you. To
Because
say,
like for me, when I was at one of my worst moments, I joined a Christian church with a friend, and the help I got, it was amazing. It was just amazing, the support and the assistance I got. And then I left. It was just it just wasn't for me. But I'm just so grateful for the assistance in me regaining some of my spirituality. I really am.
right. Well, I thank God for it. And I used to see people that were struggling and be back over and over and over again. And I knew the reason why they were back again, because they didn't believe in something other than themselves. And that's a very, I mean, look at the world.
It's almost dangerous because Jane calls it the Earth's axis. So
listen,
that's what the person thinks.
AA says a lot of.
I didn't know that.
AA says every addict thinks they're universal. Addict and alcoholic, we're universally unique, and I call that the Earth's axis.
Yeah, I think that's funnier.
Yeah.
The Earth's axis.
Okay.
And that does get in the way if you're trying to get better and you think you're the Earth's axis.
Well, because I thought I knew everything. So.
Well, we all do. We all had our point. But thank you so much, ladies, for
Thank
being
you.
Thank you, Jesse. I wasn't able to get to some of your things
Thanks,
about what you said there, but thank you for being on. I appreciate you. And you
Yes,
guys.
thanks, Jesse, and keep up all that wonderful work you do for people. And Ted too. I hope Ted gets into the hospitals.
Ted. I was like, Ted? Who's Ted?
Is it Ted the dog?
Yes.
Okay.
Ted's the doggy. Yes.
But I thank you guys so much for taking the time for coming, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Because we didn't even dive through the book, but you guys try to, if you can, go get the book Under the Hood, Amazon. It's by the Therapy Twins. Here I go again. Joan.
Yes.
And Jane.
Yes.
Joan Landino and Jane Buckley. Under the Hood. Do yourself a favor. Go get the book. It's awesome.
And you won't stop laughing. It's very
you won't
fun.
stop laughing.
At our expense.
Yeah. Exactly. So please make sure you go out and get the book. I appreciate you. Thank you, Jesse, for participating today. I appreciate you as well. And thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Do me a favor.
You, Tanya.
Please share and twins, hang out for me for 1 minute and I'll get back to you. I'll get right back to you. Hang out with me for 1 minute. The show. Give me a second. Guys, thank you. If I can get to what I'm supposed to. Where's my ending? Don't forget, join us again next week. All right. Bye. Thank you, guys.